Y'all, well, I had some big plans for Sunday, but hi everybody. Let me say hi everyone first. Thank you, Jen. Hey, K Brace. Hey, Butterfly Kisses. Hey, Wheel B. Hey, Princess Megan Elsa. Jeremiah. Hey, that girl. What's up? So I was gonna do something on Sunday. Hey, Montana J. Thank you. My birthday was actually Sunday, but I couldn't do it on Sunday because my kid came home with this like horrible allergic reaction. And I just figured I'd do it today. Hey, Grandma AF. And so, oh, that's okay, girl. I am too. I feel you. I think everybody is. Hey, Boots and Bourbon. Thank you. Hey, Patty. Thank you. So, I figured since it's a Tuesday night and, I can't drink wine or do any of that. I did found something that will make me happy. Hey, Kia. So I found the complaint against Linda Stanley they just put out. So I thought I'd talk about that, but I'll do that in a little bit. I'm gonna talk for a little bit. Hey, Southern Mimi, thank you. So yeah, my son had this horrible reaction, and then I had to take him to the doctors on Monday. Hey, Gray One, thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Amber Riot. Thank you. Um, oh wait, I gotta show you this cute video of Erwin today. Hold on. I think I sent it to myself so I can show you guys. I do have Red Bull. Hey, Branson girl, thank you. So, oh, thank you, Gray One, for becoming a member. Hey, Sticky. I'm going to get my son a bird for Christmas. We're getting a cockatiel. And I went to this bird farm today on my break because it's right up the street from my work. And they have these. Hey, Jen. Thank you. Hey, just Samantha, Amory. And they're getting a baby in tomorrow. So I'm going to go look at it. He said it doesn't even have all its feathers and stuff. So I'm excited. I'm going to go look at him. Well, hopefully not. I'm gonna have to keep them separate. Maybe I can train him. I don't know. I'm not gonna risk him getting close to it, but uh I mean people do it with cats and birds, so I'll figure it out. I think I'm just gonna put them in separate rooms. I don't know. He's my son's grandfather hyped them all up and now he's expecting a bird, so I don't know what I'm gonna do. I don't know how I could get out of it. Hubby says he's gonna let it out the door though. I don't know if you guys oh, wait, hold on, let me see if you guys can hear it. I hate this new okay, this new audio. Tab or entire screen. Okay. Alright, ready? Look at this dummy. I know, I made a second channel to do lizard videos, yeah, it's all fun and games till Erwin grows bigger, but hopefully when Erwin grows bigger, he grows slower.
Erwin. Hi. What are you doing in this class? You're a goof. Erwin. Hi.
I disturbed his closet fun.
What are you doing in this?
We have a like this closet under my steps that my son has like all right, so he's collected these dinosaurs, these Jurassic World dinosaurs for like the longest time. And like when I tell you collected like $150 dinosaurs, I've had to buy them because he's had ones that they stopped selling and all kinds of stuff. So he has like a million of them. So he doesn't play with them anymore though. So I stuck him in this closet under the steps, and it's literally just a toy closet now. Hey Nenny. But Erwin just loves it. Cuz he can climb up and down it, I guess. I don't know. And I have my roach bin in there cuz it's dark and warm. So, I'm nervous though that one day he's gonna like figure out that it's the roach bin and he's gonna get in there, but hopefully no. Um, has anyone listened to this podcast called S Town? So apparently I'm like late to the party, but you know the podcast Serial that like was super popular? They made this podcast called S Town, and it is about like some Alabama town where um like some murder happened, like some guy was bragging about getting away with murder, so they started looking into this guy and then someone ended up dead. I was just reading the basics of it, but I haven't listened to it yet. But this guy who was featured in the podcast was just killed in a shootout with police. I was like, "Oh my goodness." Now I'm going to have to go back and listen to it. Yeah. Hold on, I'm gonna pull it up and I'm gonna show you guys. I'm gonna like I've listened to the Serial podcast, which I really liked. So I was like, oh my goodness, I'm gonna have to check that out. Hold on, I'm gonna look it up real quick so I can show you. S2. I can give you guys a better explanation of it. All right, so it says John S. from Serial and American Life S Town. John despises his Alabama town and decides to do something about it. He asks a reporter to investigate the son of a wealthy family who's allegedly been bragging that he got away with murder. But then someone else ends up dead, sparking a nasty feud, a hunt for hidden treasure, and an unearthing of the mysteries of one man's life. Now, the guy John, who wanted to do something about it, he's um he's the guy who was killed by police. I bet you there's gonna be all kinds of like what's it called theories. Hey Buster Boo, thank you. Hey Shauna. Oh, let me show you the guy. Tyler Goodson? Oh, maybe he's not the main guy. Oh, shoot, I'm gonna share the article. Anyway, I'm gonna look into this because I'm curious about it now. Tuscaloosa, Alabama. A 32-year-old Alabama man featured in the popular S-Town podcast died Sunday after there was a shot during a standoff with law enforcement officers. Hey, Justy YouTuber! Hello! The Woodstock Police Department responded to a call early Sunday morning in Woodstock, roughly 30 miles southwest of Birmingham, according to a news release from the Alabama Law Enforcement Agency. Officers said they encountered Joseph Tyler Goodson, who then barricaded himself in the residence. He posted on Facebook, "Police about to shoot me down in my own yard." And a multitude of law enforcement officers from several agencies responded to assist during the standoff. At one point in the standoff, Goodson brandished a gun at officers, and according to the news release, was shot by officers, and Goodson was later pronounced dead. Apparently, this podcast is like huge, so I'm gonna look into it. Oh, here it is. A Sound Podcast chronicled the life of John B. McLemore, his relationship with Goodson in the town of Woodstock. The podcast was released in March 2017 and has been downloaded millions of times and even won a Peabody Award. McLemore died before the show came out. His use of explicitive to describe his hometown gives the podcast its S-Town title, which means shit town. I know that everyone wants answers and details, myself included. Woodstock Mayor Jeff Dodson said in a statement Monday, Tyler was well known and loved by myself, his family, and the community. That love extends far beyond due to the S-Town podcast. And I think that's the guy who was, like, looking into him, so I don't know. I thought that'd be interesting. So anyway, I am gonna talk about the Linda Stanley stuff. Hold on, let me stop my screen till I pull it up. So, if anyone's followed the Barry Morphew case, Linda Stanley has been, like, the most awful, um, PA in the world, in my opinion, and potentially, like, totally blew the case. And, alright, so the best I can explain this is Linda Stanley was late. Hey, B Tim, thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Um, I appreciate that. Linda Stanley she was late with everything to hand everything in for their expert witnesses, like handing in the information. Thank you, Code. Thank you. I know. How nice is that, Kia? um, they had a bunch of expert witnesses. She didn't get the info for them in time. She went on public platforms talking about the case. Uh, According to CBI, they did not want her to make an arrest, and she made an arrest like super early. She just like ruined that whole case, in my opinion. And because she was late on all these things and not making deadlines and all that, um, she was sanctioned by the judge. And the judge and she didn't like that the judge had sanctioned her because basically him sanction her kind of like tied her hands, even though I think her hands were tied already because her evidence was kind of like flimsy. Uh, but because of that, she had to drop the charges. So out of anger that he did that to her, and because she had to drop the charges, and because okay, so this was one of the big things. There was text messages of Suzanne saying that Barry was abusive towards her. But there wasn't anything to back up that he was abusive, like police reports or cops coming to the house. Nothing like that. It was only her words to her friend in text messages. Hey, the heifer next door. So the judge said that he would not. Hey, Allie, thank you. Um, the judge said that he wouldn't include this stuff in trial because there just wasn't enough to back it up. Like if there had been police reports or something like that, he'd be more open to it. But just her telling her friend, and a lot of this was because she was having an affair, and it could have been, her saying that because she wanted to make Barry look bad because she was cheating or whatever. Uh, a lot of people, and I understand why, we're upset that the judge just didn't take her word for it because, the possibility of her being a victim of domestic violence. So because thank you, Jesse YouTuber. Thank you for becoming a member. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. uh so she tried to say that the judge was biased, and she thought maybe the judge was biased. Now this is the crazy part, because he, in his divorce with his wife, that there was domestic violence and that he was biased towards it. So she then had the judge investigate it for domestic violence, like looked into his background to see if there was some kind of DV in his history that would cause him to be biased towards that, which is absolutely ridiculous. So anyway, when they go to look into it, they go to his ex-wife and they ask her like, "Hey, was he abusive towards you?" And she's like, yeah, no." So now the judge is pissed the F off because she's accusing him, like, she accused him of, you know, abusing his wife and had him looked into, um, which was irresponsible of her. So anyway, there is a complaint filed, and I figured I would go over the complaint because it goes over all of the things she did. Like, she went on profiling evil and all that stuff. So, um, all right. So, respondent is the elected district attorney for the 11th Judicial District, which includes Fremont, Chaffee, Park, and Custer counties. Oh, let me also add that right after the election, right, where she was elected to be the DA, her sister publicly came out and said she lied in her election because she said that her family was like farmers and her dad was like a hardworking farmer, but really her dad was like some IT guy. So, respondent won her campaign for district attorney in November 2020 and took office January 12th, 2021. Months prior to her election, on May 10th, 2020, Suzanne Morphew disappeared and a massive search and rescue ensued along the potential criminal investigation involving FBI and CBI. Yes, she did, just a YouTuber. Thank you, Risk. She absolutely did. um, the Chaffee County Sheriff's Office and other law enforcement executed hundreds of search warrants and massive amount of electronic data was collected. And if you don't know anything about this case, let me just give it a rundown. I have a bunch of videos on it. This is like my favorite case in true crime probably ever. But a woman mysteriously goes missing on Mother's Day after supposedly going for a bike ride. Her husband is working. Her husband did some suspicious things that made people believe that he was her murderer. He was arrested. He They had a bunch of pre-trial hearings, evidence hearings, stuff like that, and it ended up not going to trial due to Linda Stanley not handing things in time and them ended up not having enough evidence. Okay. Um Respondent met with law enforcement regarding the ongoing Morphew investigation, including Alex Walker, Joseph Cahill, Robin Burgess, and Deputy District Attorney Jeff Lindsay. As of January 2021, no charges have been filed related to Suzanne Morphew's disappearance. Respondent assigned Lindsay to be lead prosecutor on the Morphew case. Respondent also assigned Lindsay the entire Chaffee County felony docket in addition to handling the Morphew investigation. On April 30th and May 3rd, 2021, Walker emailed Respondent and DDA Lindsay an amended draft affidavit for arrest warrant for Barry Morphew. On May 5th, 2021, Walker submitted an affidavit in support of the court seeking a warrant with no bond hold of Barry Morphew for the first-degree murder of his wife, which everyone I don't know, just a YouTuber. Honestly, I have no idea because like everything was one we're like really like mapped out and now everything has changed and until I like find out cause of death and all that, which I don't even know if they'll be able to determine that because of the state of her body. Like it, I can tell you I don't think he'll be charged, but I don't know if he knew about the boneyard, but I never thought, in my opinion, I never thought there was enough evidence to convict him or anything like that. And this makes me question things even more because the timeline is all messed up now. Um, but I don't think they'll ever arrest him, in my opinion. But we'll see. You would think now that they have a body, they would have more info, but I just don't know. I think maybe if he had help, Like, if he had someone to help him that it could have been done. Yeah, yeah, they've had p and they found somebody very close to her that was dead too. So, I don't know. It makes it's confusing to me for sure, but if the timeline okay, so here's my thing. If he did put her there, um, in my opinion, it would have to be earlier in the night because I just don't think if he left at 4 in the morning that he would have ever had time to go all the way there, bury a body, and then go all the way to Broomfield. I think the timeline's just too tight. You would have to be like Speedy Gonzales, you know? Um, if he went earlier in the night, but then if he did go earlier in the night, why did the truck not record anything earlier in the night or, him opening doors or moving or anything earlier in the night? If he had help though, then possibly. Like maybe someone helped him earlier in the night. That's the only way I could see it like working, you know? I have like if you're interested, I have like what are they? Like Excel sheets of all of the GPS coordinates in all of the truck like everything the truck did timing wise, like at what time, like this door opened, that door opened, this blah blah blah. I think he burned her before they made that call that she was missing. Well, if I don't think a like I don't think the Bobcat would have made it. Like I don't think you could have drove a Bobcat all the way there, 45 minutes away. So that's my thing. Like he would have had maybe like Jeff Puckett or somebody, I don't want to just throw someone's name out there, but he passed away now and someone like that, maybe some like that guy who worked for him helped him, but I don't think the Bobcat yeah, it was far. I don't think the Bobcat would have made it. And they have all the GPS on the Bobcat as well, which I have on the Excel sheets, and that never went anywhere near there. So, I'm not sure. I don't know what to think about that. But then I've seen people saying that like some guy who lives on the property um has like been in trouble with the law before, like the property where she was found. So I'm curious if there's anything with that or if it's just a rumor. But for sure, I questioned some of that stuff. All right, where was I? But yeah, I can send you all of the data that I have because it's all like mapped out on an Excel sheet so you can see. And that really helped me like, could it have been possible, the timeline because it's mapped out a lot easier. Yeah, I know, that's what I was saying. Like if you did have that's why I threw Puckett out there. I hate to say it, but like that's why I thought maybe Puckett of all people like would have been could have helped or known about that or, maybe known about that area or something. But then like, I don't know what if okay, and don't kill me for saying this, y'all. This is just me being open-minded. You know how Barry was saying that she was taking medication and all that, which I'm sure she was prescribed for cancer or whatever, but she was getting CBD and stuff like that. What if she like, ran into some question questionable people who could have done something to her or known that she had money because wasn't that money missing from the safe? I don't know how it would have worked out though, honestly. So, but I mean, that's the only other like scenario that I can really put in my head that wouldn't have to do with Barry Morphew. Like maybe she was meeting somebody for like CBD or, weed or something, and then met someone through there or the gym. But I don't even know how that would work. And it still confuses me because there was an article early on of somebody saying that they saw her on a bike and then it just magically disappeared. But so, in my opinion, I think it was either Barry and he had help or, something else. Yeah, K-Braze. I mean, it really, at this point, I have no idea, but I am curious about that guy who lived on that property and if, because there's a lot of people talking about him on the Facebook groups, but it could be nothing. And also the guy they found dead in the same area. Maybe there's a connection there. Who knows? Because it is a little strange that they found another body there. On May 18th, respondent and DDA Lindsay filed a complaint and information which lists the official charges against Barry Morphew as one count of first-degree murder, one count of tampering with a deceased human body, one count of tampering with physical evidence, possession of a dangerous weapon, and on one count of attempt to influence a public servant. Yeah, yeah, he does. That guy AK looked into it a lot too, but I always thought AK was like a little weird. Like I always thought he was a little strange. Maybe it's just because he's, like, super passionate or something, I don't know, but alright, so respondent statements to press and influencers start early and continue. From April 2021 to August 2022, respondent was in contact via text messaging with Mike King, host of Profiling Evil YouTube channel. Yeah, he did have the biggest motive, but also you have to take into account her having an affair. That opens up more stuff in victimology. Like, could someone in the her boyfriend's family, have an issue, or because she was lonely, could she have, you know, found somebody in Colorado that was closer and wasn't far away. I just, but I do agree that the husband had the biggest motive. Like, if he did find out she was cheating, then for sure. Um, okay, where was I? Okay, so she was in contact with Mike King from Profiling Evil. I don't know if you guys remember, but she literally went on Mike King during a gag order and talked about the case. Yeah. Yep. It is crazy, Caber. Mike King is part of the global network of true crime podcasters and influencers, and his YouTube channel discussing true crime is called Profiling Evil. Respondent frequently updated King and responded to his request for information about the Morphew case. On May 3rd, 2021, respondent exchanged text messages and had a phone call with King regarding the Morphew case. On May 5th, the same day, Walker submitted an arrest affidavit to the court for Morphew's arrest. Respondent attended a press conference along with Sheriff John Spezzi. In response to a question about whether Morphew was cooperating with the investigation, whether Morphew was asked if he knew where the body was, respondent told the media he was taken into custody, and when asked questions, he said he wanted a lawyer and all questioning ended. Which I'm not really sure is true because he talked a lot. I don't remember Barry ever immediately asking for a lawyer. Barry talked more than most people, so. On May 15th, 2021, when Mike King of Profiling Evil texted respondent asking her for more information about the short rifle Barry Morphew allegedly used to kill Suzanne, as had been identified in the complaint, respondent replied, I will see what I can do, only because it's you, Mike. Now, mind you, she was under a gag order during this, so it's kind of messed up. When King text responded and asked her if perhaps Mr. Morphew strangled Suzanne in the hot tub, respondent replied, "We knew it wasn't bloody. The hot tub was drained with crust around the drain areas, indicating it had not been used in a long time. But keep on spinning ideas in your brain." When King texted respondent and asked her about Suzanne Morphew's car keys, She replied, "We think she always left her purse in her car." In June 2021, when King Texit responded to comment about a new video on Barry Morphew, I would think so, just a YouTuber. Now that he's in the complaint, I absolutely do think he'll have to go to court for this. She was under a gag order when this happened, so it's kind of shocking to me that she would send him this stuff. And it's kind of shocking to me. I mean, I don't know. He's a true crime podcaster, but isn't he ex law enforcement? Anyway, in June 2021, when King Texit responded to comment about a new video of Barry, respondent replied, "I'm great, thanks. We got him. No worries." He absolutely knew better, just a YouTube for sure. Within the first few months after Morphy's arrest, respondent was made aware by Lindsay and other staff that her office was having extreme difficulty complying with P16 mandatory disclosures in a timely manner in the Morphew case. So this is what I was talking about. Yeah, well, she was giving she had to have been giving McDonough information too, because McDonough just happened to be there for the arrest of Barry, remember? Like, he was, like, there when they arrested Barry Morphew. So you can't tell me she didn't tell him to show up, you know? Respondent was aware that the Salida office Chaffee County did not have enough bandwidth to send the defense counsel large amounts of electronic discovery data, videos, and photos via the Action 5 system in a timely manner. Morphew's defense counsel filed a motion to compel and for sanctions because the prosecution failed to timely disclose all information to Morphew as required by Criminal R16. So she knew. Hey, Tia. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Um, she knew that, yeah, he was just in the neighborhood, Cambridge, just happened to be there exactly when he was arrested. My goodness. Oh, and Tia, there's stuff I have to talk to you about. I totally forgot. I will message you. Good thing you came in here. On June 3rd, Judge Murphy issued an order in response to defendants' discovery motions declaring the defense request for all emails and text message between law enforcement officers and all individuals, including prosecutors, contacted in pertaining to the case is too broad and is not required by case law or statute. Therefore, it is ordered that any electronic communications created or received by law enforcement officers related to the case must be disclosed to the defense if they are material to the prosecution of the case or if they contain any evidence that would be in any way favorable to the defense. On July 20th, 2021, the prosecution disclosed a May 19th, 2021 CODIS DNA casework match letter containing potentially exculpatory information, but the prosecution had its possession for 2 months prior to this disclosure. So if you guys remember, they okay, so they did the evidence hearing. What the heck is it called? I can't even think. My mind's blank now, but a preliminary hearing. They had the preliminary hearing, and before the preliminary hearing, they had this information for 2 months before. The DNA, the where they found the DNA in the car that was a partial match, and they never handed it in. And then on July 22nd, 2021, after another hearing on discovery issues, Judge Murphy determined the prosecution had violated discovery rules by failing to timely provide cell phone data and other electronic discovery to the defense and ordered further production from the prosecution within 7 days. Between July 22nd and August 2nd, the prosecution disclosed a significant amount of information to the defense, including a Tempe CODIS match letter. So that was Tempe, Arizona. They had a match from some crime in Tempe, Arizona. A Phoenix match letter. They had DNA from a Phoenix match and three or no, and an Illinois match letter. So they had DNA that matched that partially matched 3 crimes. In August 2021, Lindsay contacted Dan Edwards, who at the time was not employed by the district attorney's office, to assist with motions practiced in the prosecution of Barry Morphew. Sheriff Speasy was able to contain help on the Morphew prosecution by obtaining $100,000 from Chaffee County commissioners. The funds obtained by Sheriff Speasy could support hiring additional personnel, so Mark Hulbert was hired as an addition deputy district attorney, and he began assisting on August 4th. Morphew's combined preliminary hearing and presumption great hearing was set for August 9th through 10th. During the first 2 days of Morphew's combined plenary hearing, defense identified a May 19th CODIS DNA casework match letter regarding DNA swab from Morphew's Range Rover, which partially matched an unknown suspect who was being investigated for SA. Yeah, exactly. If it's not fair and you're not handing over information, it's not a fair case to the person accused, because I'll tell the story again because I think it's so important. I was friends with this girl who told me a case about her dad. He was falsely accused of killing this girl. Her name was Sophia. I can't remember her last name, but she was abducted off her porch doing homework. Um, sh- she was abducted and found in a creek wrapped in a blue tarp with some rope around it. They searched the neighbor's garage and they found a similar tarp and similar rope, but it was very common tarp and rope that probably most people have in their garages. And then they searched his van and they found these purple flakes in his van. They were sent to the lab to be tested for DNA, right? And the DNA person was so sure that this guy was the guy, and she was like absolutely sure this man did it. I'm not even sure she tested the flakes, but she basically told him it was a match when it wasn't, and the guy was arrested. And then ended up being a serial killer who killed 2 more kids. Now, how crazy is that? That literally she lied about it, and this man looked guilty on all parts because even the DNA expert lied and went to jail, and now these kids were killed because they got the wrong guy. So, like, it's so important that this stuff, DNA evidence, everything is combed through very carefully, because there's lots of cases where even the most circumstantial evidence that sounds absolutely like, oh yeah, that person did it, um, even though it sounds really good, sometimes they end up being innocent, and it's just like a perfect setup of circumstances that make them look guilty. So you never know. And they found this partial DNA match in her Range Rover connected to um other SA cases, which is important, especially because I think it's important because they were considering moving to Arizona. I think she even went out to Arizona for a workout like expo or something and met Jeff there at one point. So what if somebody was in her car? I mean, who knows? Yeah, exactly. Exactly, K-Rays. So, respondent goes on the Profiling Evil show after the hearing. On August 24th and 25th, the last 2 days of the hearing, defense cross-examined former CBI agent Cahill regarding the CODIS DNA casework match letter. On August 24th at 10:31 a.m. during the day of the hearing, Mike King texted the respondent the question, "Feeling good?" And respondent replied, "Yes, only because the judge has basically indicated that he's done. That's good for us." Later on the 24th, King texted respondent, "Now the noise. I heard defendant tried to stare you down this morning." And the respondent replied, "I stared him down. I have tried to every single day." On August 29th, King and respondent discussed via text messaging and phone what King would say to his audience about the Morphe case and what King would say to his audience about respondent. Now, mind you, I think hey Tony, thank you. I think Agent Cahill is the guy who who shot the gun off, like, in his hand, and, he set the gun off, and then he got taken off the case, but he got taken off the case, and then he testified that he thought they arrested Barry Morphew, like, way too early. So, I think, thank you, Johnny. Okay, anyway. On August 30th, respondent appeared on Mike King's YouTube channel, mind you, under a gag order, called Profiling Evil, a publicly viewable show and comment forum to discuss the Barry Morphew case. During or after the Profiling Evil podcast, respondent also made written statements in the online comment section after the podcast ended. Hope you're doing well, Johnny. In addition to commenting immediately after the podcast, respondent used her own name and her username and authored numerous other comments in response to various members of the public who had also written comments to Profiling Evil. So there was a lot of people pissed about her going on there, and they were saying stuff in the comments, and she was arguing with people, like straight up fighting with people. A commenter on YouTube with the username Jean-Luc Brassier posted the following on Profiling Evil in response to respondent statements. In a preliminary hearing, you were supposed to lay out enough evidence to take the accused to trial. The defense did a great job of debunking a few of the theories. Most reasonable observers of this case aren't even confident that the state laid out enough evidence to take this to trial. How do you expect them to win a case with zero DNA and zero body with a very weak preliminary hearing? If there was some kind of smoking gun, they could have provided more info at the preliminary hearing, causing the judge to actually send it to trial on day 4. Him needing time is not a sign of a very strong case. He has read the holy affidavit already. So if you think there is something special in there, think again. It's best for the state to let this one go for now. Try the man again if you find better evidence. In response to this public comment, she used her own username and wrote, "The judge explained why he was going to take time with it. He actually should because there's a lot of evidence. Admit it. I'm curious how long you've been a criminal law attorney since you like to think that you know it. Look this up, Dante Lucas." Did she dox this guy? Or maybe she's saying looking up, oh, look this case up? Dante Lucas, convicted in Pueblo, Colorado, right next to my jurisdiction, less than a year ago for first-degree murder. Guess what? No DNA, no body, no murder weapon, no smoking gun, as you say. But here's the clincher. He was the last one to see Kelsey alive, and Barry was the last one to see Suzanne alive, as we stated in the prelim. Those items you listed may be important to you, but not for others. P.S. Dylan Redwine's father was also just recently convicted of first-degree murder in the death of his son. Same scenario. Didn't have any of the laundry list of items that you think are required for a conviction. I can come up with plenty more. Just let me know. Yeah, me too, K-Braze. This is like definitely a case that gets to me. On September 14th, she exchanged Facebook Messenger messages with Jules Wolfe, creator of the True Crime with Jules, which is a podcast. Oh, I remember this. She got in a fight with this true crime podcaster named True Crime with Jules. When Jules asked whether Morphew was getting ready to flee, respondent said, possibly. These text messages were made public by Wolfe and remained available for the public to read. And then I think she like attacked her online for doing that. On September 16th, 2021, Morphew's defense filed for sanction for violation of the court's pretrial publicity order. The motion was based in part of respondent statements to the media and written comments to the public on Profiling Evil YouTube channel and to Jules Wolfe, the creator of True Crime with Jules. The court found that there was probable cause for the charges against Morphew, but that the prosecution did not meet its burden regarding the proof evident presumption great portion of the hearing. Defense requested $50,000 bond. The prosecution requested a $10 million bond, and ultimately the court set a $500 cash-only bond. Judge Murphy stated that he had not received the defense motion but advised respondent, while I won't order it, it certainly seems reasonable to limit interaction and interviews with the media regarding a specific case that you are prosecuting. That is the normal route that I see most prosecutors take. So I'm not ruling on the motion. I'm not issuing an order other than the order I've already issued, but I'm saying if there's a violation, it's going to be a self-inflicted wound. Hey, LFT. Thank you. Later, when King from Profiling Evil texted respondent questions about the hearing, respondent responded to his text, no surprise on bail, no CH, and our CBI witness Cahill majorly screwed up on his testimony. He's not on the case anymore. Oh yeah, that's what happened. He screwed up on his testimony, so she kicked him off the case. Respondent did not ask for additional funding for the Morphe prosecution when she submitted her 2022 budget. Hey, Linda. Thank you. To the commissioners in September 21, reasoning that to do so, we're just getting to the meat and potatoes of this complaint against Linda Stanley in the Barry Morphew case. So y'all have come in at the right time. They filed a complaint against her, and they're listing all of the horrible things she's done. So I guess she's getting investigated. We'll see if she loses her law license or if it gets you know, suspended for a while, I guess. Respondent did not ask for additional take a whole time away for the public meeting in front of commissioners would argue, why are we paying more for your entire budget when this is over in May? And if it doesn't go for whatever reason, it doesn't go, they're asking for that money back. But that was her reasoning to do so. Lindsay resigned in October 2021 and gave 4 weeks notice. Respondent assigned Holbert to take over as lead counsel. On October 29th, Lindsay left the 11th JD office and respondent hired Bob Weiner to assist in the Morphe case. Court requires change of venue, in part due to respondent's extrajudicial statements. The court held a hearing on defense motion for sanctions for the pretrial statements, which highlighted numerous statements by respondent to Profiling Evil and True Crime with Jules. Judge Murphy recused himself because he was good friends with the lawyer representing Barry Morphew's new girlfriend, Shoshana Dark. Okay, LT. And then Judge Ramsey Lama was assigned. Now, this Judge Ramsey Lama was the guy that she accused of possibly domestic violence against his wife, and this is why she's getting. That's like the main reason why they're filing this complaint against her. Judge Lama reviewed numerous statements respondent made publicly regarding Morphew, as well as an affidavit from a Salida community member who attested that the talk of the town was that the media, DEA Stanley, and Judge Murphy all made statements that convinced them that Barry Morphew killed his wife. On January 31st, 2022, the court issued order granting motion to change venue because of her out-of-court statements. Judge Lama determined that the respondent's out-of-court statements materially prejudiced Morphew's right to a fair trial and impartial jury. So they wanted to change the venue because they had already, the people in the town implanted a view of the case a certain way in the town people's minds. So they wanted to change a venue to have, different people who didn't have much knowledge of the case, I guess, in a different area. Respondent knew or should have known the Morphew case depended heavily on expert testimony. Given there was no body to establish murder and much of the typical forensic evidence in a homicide was not available, such as expert disclosure requirements needed to be met fully on time. The prosecution's expert disclosures were due February 14th, 2022, Valentine's Day. Edwards drafted the expert disclosures without ever having reviewed the discovery, pulling names only from the pleadings. Edwards filed the expert disclosures on February 14th, but expert disclosures were inaccurate and incomplete. Neither respondent nor Holbert nor Weiner reviewed Edwards' expert disclosure for accuracy before it was filed. No one from the prosecution team timely disclose the CVs and expert reports of the prosecution's expert as required by the court's order. CVs are like resumes. So, if you're having an expert witness, you're supposed to hand in like something that is like a resume that explains all of their credentials and stuff like that. That needs to be handed in beforehand because you can't just put anybody up on the stand and say they're a witness. And they didn't hand these in on time, so you can't just just put expert witnesses up there without handing in the proper information. On February 24th, the court held a hearing on expert disclosures during which the prosecution conceded their expert disclosures did not comply with Rule 16 or the court's case management order. They sought and received an extension for February 28th. So now they gave them more time, said, hey, we'll give you till February 28th to get these documents in. Make sure they're handed in. On February 24th, Edwards filed his notice of withdrawal and left the prosecution team. He was the guy who set up the expert witness stuff. He withdrew from the team. Then on February 28th, Holbert filed People's superseding endorsement of expert witnesses, which admitted that some listed experts were still in the process of preparing a statement. So their experts weren't even ready. The prosecution superseding expert disclosure filed February 28th was still missing expert reports and CVs from various experts, which were specifically required by the court's prior order. The respondent was aware that the defense filed multiple motions to exclude expert opinions based on the prosecution's failure to comply with the requirements. On March 1st, defense filed a supplemental motion to strike witnesses preferred as experts and motion to strike, noting prejudice to the defense because the prosecution still had not included an expert CV, expert opinion, or written summaries for several experts and provided no underlying facts or data supporting the opinion. On March 2nd, they filed it. Grant Grossenbauer joined the Morphy prosecution team. On March 3rd, the prosecution provided additional discovery, including emails with law enforcement as far back as May 2020, which the prosecution obtained during November 2021 and January 2022. On March 7, 2022, well after the extended expert supplemental disclosure deadline, Holbert filed a good faith witness list and a notice of endorsement witness list. So this is like way late. It was supposed to be February 28th, and here we are at March 7th. Then March 8th, the defense filed a supplement to motion for discovery sanctions based on the prosecution's February 28th and March 3rd discovery production. On March 9th, Holbert filed prosecution's response to the defense's motion to strike, filed its experts arguing the defense was not prejudiced by the inadequate expert disclosures. On March 10th, the court issued a verbal order striking several prosecution experts. So basically, everyone they didn't hand in the CVs for and the stuff they were late for, they said they can't testify. Well, so if that thing was like an interview or an application, does anyone get to hear a rough draft of what they might? No, they just all right. Say they have an expert witness coming in to talk about cell phones, right? And pinging cell phones and whatever. If he doesn't have his resume handed in and they don't know anything about this guy or any of his credentials and they don't have a statement prepared, they can't have this guy come testify because they didn't hand the stuff in. So they just can't testify because it's unfair. You can't, you have to have your stuff ready. So anyway, on March 10th, the judge says the court finds a pattern of neglect demonstrating, they're like hired out contractors. Like, they had an expert about the what's it called? To freaking put the animal to sleep. Thank you, Kylie White. It's your birthday too. Happy birthday. It's also Lynn's birthday. I don't know if she's here, but Lynn's birthday. Yeah, it's Lynn's birthday today. So if I don't know if she's in here, but um, make sure to give Lynn a happy birthday. Not euthanization, where they knock them out. Oh my gosh, why can't I think? Like a dart, whatever. They were gonna have somebody for that. They were gonna have somebody testify about domestic violence. They were gonna have somebody testify about DNA. And they had a decomp, or not a decomp, but a dog to pick up her scent, a dog handler. They tried to get rid of him because they didn't want him to come on because he picked up a scent for Suzanne where her bike was found. All right, so the court says the court finds a pattern of neglect demonstrating a need for modification of the parties' discovery practices in the case. This is a trial by ambush. That's exactly what the rules are designed to prevent. I am not finding it willful, but I am finding a pattern and I am finding prejudice. There's a record to support a pattern of neglect here and prejudice. So he's saying tranquilizer. Yes, thank you. I couldn't think of the word. Yeah, like they need to hand in all their credentials, like a resume. Like, I have a degree in this. I am a scientist. I am an expert in tranquilizers and how they work on animals. Or, they didn't hand in any of that. I can't believe I couldn't think of that word. Oh my gosh, it was like totally went away from my head. So, yeah, they were like, "You can't testify. Sorry. Like, you got to hand the stuff in. You can't just send any old person up there. You have to hand your stuff in. That's just how it works. It's not fair to the person on trial to just do whatever you want in the court and not do it by the rules. You have to do it the right way. It would be an unfair trial otherwise." So on March 30th, Grossbauer attended and participated in a Shrek hearing on the qualifications and the scope of opinion on expert Doug Spence. The night before the hearing, Grossbauer called Spence to preparing for the hearing. At that point, learned that no one on the prosecution team had actually spoken to expert Spence. Okay, this is the dog handler, I think, and this is so important. All right, so this guy was the dog handler he had a dog that picked up a scent of Suzanne Morphew around where her bike was found. So saying that like she actually could have been down by her bike. It picked up a scent and it followed it for a little while till it got to the creek and then stopped. Uh this guy, nobody contacted him about speaking. A Shrek hearing is basically he comes in and like talks to the judge before, I think it's like, if I remember correctly, like he would come in and talk about it and like before they would go to trial so that they would know what he's there to talk about or whatever. So the night before the hearing, Grossbauer called Spence, the dog handler, to prepare him for the hearing, and at that point learned that no one on the prosecution team had actually spoken to him. Spence expressed opinions during his telephone conversation with Grossbauer the night before the Shrek hearing that were not entirely consistent with what had been included in the prosecution's expert endorsement. So, okay. Spence, so in the expert endorsement, like, all right, so the prosecution wrote up this thing for Spence and said that he's the dog handler and that his dog didn't pick up on any scent of Suzanne, right? And then when Spence called him the night before, Spence tells Grossbauer that his dog did pick up on a scent and their report is wrong. Like, because Spence didn't write the report. They had a cop who was there and watched it go down write the report instead of the actual guy. So they never reached out to Spence and asked him for a report. They just had a deputy write it for him. Isn't that crazy? Like, instead of reaching out to the actual guy, they had another guy write it. And in my opinion, they did it on purpose because they didn't want the court to know that the dog actually picked up on the scent. The prosecution's initial and supplemental expert endorsement for Spence had indicated that Spence would offer an opinion based on a law enforcement canine, Roscoe, following a scent down to a creek in the direction of the Morphew home, but this was not consistent with what Spence told Grossbauer the night before the Shrek hearing. In addition, on cross-examination of Spence, so anyway, during the hearing, the judge is like, well, come up here, Spence, like, I want to hear your side of this. So he goes up and he tells the judge, yeah, I did write a report, but nobody asked me for it. At that point, the Shrek hearing focused on a possible Rule 16 discovery violation for the prosecution's failure to disclose and endorse expert report. So, mind you, this guy writes a report. They never ask him for it, but instead have their own deputy write the report who was there about what he saw. And they just never ask the expert for his report. Yeah, exactly. Kate Brace, they never reach out to Richard Allen. Grossbauer proposed that the remedy for the court was to strike Spence as a witness because they didn't want him to talk anyway because he picked up a scent. So they're like, strike him. We don't want him. The court agreed, and on March 30th, the court excluded expert witness Spence based on the stipulation of the people that they failed to disclose the opinion of the report. On April 8th, the court granted another one of the defense motions for sanctions for discovery violations and determined the people failed to put in place a system to preserve emails as ordered by Judge Murphy on June 3rd. The court finds a continuing pattern by the people of inability and failure to comply with Rule 16's obligation. The same order issued April 8th. The court excluded most of the prosecution's expert. So the court said, all right then, because you didn't do this, and this, you were striking most of the experts. Like they can't testify. And that basically ruined Linda Stanley's case. She couldn't do anything about it. She didn't have any experts at this point. She had like 2. And they excluded 11 experts out of 16. And the case was set for April 28th. So this is they had 20 days. Thank you, Buster. Guess what? We're getting a bird for Christmas. So I'll probably be messaging you for all kinds of information, but I got a nice big cage, and we're gonna get a baby cockatiel. I was literally just saying, yes. Well, so my son asked his pop to get him one for Christmas, and then they kind of just threw it on me, but you know me. I will never now, it's in he's all hyped for it now, so I was like, okay, we're doing this, but um I've been researching for days. A cockatiel, not a cockatoo. I'm not ready for a big bird. So just a little cockatiel. Like the gray ones with the orange cheeks. I had a cockatiel when I was a kid, so I already kind of know about them. And I've been doing my research. There's actually a bird farm right up the street from my work, and they're getting a baby in on or tomorrow. So I'm gonna go look at them tomorrow. The cockatoo. Yeah, I watch. Do you ever see Yum Yum? I watch Yum Yum, and he does it. So, I already ordered a big old cage, and I was looking into toys. So I'll text you and ask you about them. But I was looking into ones with like wood ones, but without dye and stuff. But I just want to make sure that I'm getting the right stuff. So even though I've done research, I'll probably ask you a bunch of questions because I know you're so knowledgeable on all of it. I was just literally thinking of you when I was alive. Like, hopefully she comes in because I want to let her know. You had 2, they were best friends. Yeah, I had one. Oh my gosh. So I had one when I was a kid. His name was Farley. I we got him right after Chris Farley died, and he was like my best friend. He would wait for me in the window every day when I got home from school, and at night, um, he would sneak out. He would get out of his cage. He could open the door, and he would climb up the steps, and there was this little stool next to my bed that was like my side table, and it had like a little piece of wood that went across the bottom, and he would climb up on that and sleep under that at night so he could be near me, and then, I had him for years, and then one day we were painting, and it was a nice warm summer night, and my mom was worried about him breathing in the fumes, so she put him out in the steps, and a freaking cat opened the cage, and I swear I looked for that cat and my bird for weeks. I don't know if he got away or not, but it was so traumatizing for me, but I'm actually excited because I just love that bird so much, and I just really wanted to do it again. I know, I'm excited too. So I'll text you and I'm gonna send you all the things I'm thinking of, like I have planned to get, and you can tell me if they're good. Yeah, it was an awful experience, but I love that cockatoo so much, or cockatiel, sorry. So, so I need all the info. So I'm gonna text you all the stuff I've been looking at. Like, I've been looking into, like, don't get bowls with covers because they get stuck under the covers and drowned, and, toys without dye in them. Oh, no, you gotta watch your that's awful, K-Brace, I'm sorry. I had gerbils. I had 2 gerbils, and one ate the other one. It was awful. I've never wanted gerbils ever again after that. No mirrors? Okay. No mirrors. I was gonna get, like, a magnetic blanket to put over it at night too, but they said to leave, like, a little spot open because they have night frights, and to have, like, a little bit of light going in. And then, I used to hear stuff about, like, drafts, like so I was thinking about putting in this one room, but it's a little colder than the rest of my house. I'm not really sure why, but I don't know if I'm gonna put put them in there because 'cause I'm too afraid, like, it's like it's like regular room temperature, but I feel like it should be in a little warmer area. Leave a little open for airflow. Okay. I think cockatiels live about 25 years in captivity, like 20, 25 years. I know, like parrots, like Buster and Earl, they live like 80 years or something. Yeah. Yeah, I didn't want to. Well, I know my son would love a bigger bird, but I think a bigger bird would be way too loud and too much for me to handle. So cockatiel is within our our realm. I had a parakeet before too, and it used to talk. I'm not, it just died one day, and I'm not really sure why. I think it got like its head stuck in the like cage or something. I can't remember. I was really young when I had it, but it used to say, "Pretty girl, pretty girl." A parakeet. It would talk, and it would go, "Pretty girl, pretty girl." Yeah. Oh, and I got a cage that has these, like, doors that open up on the top, and you can put, like, a little perch so he can sit on top too. Your favorite pet was a ferret named George. I love watching ferrets, they're cute, how they steal stuff and hide them. I'm so excited, and my son is like, "I need to get a baby." So I'm wondering, does it, like does male or female matter with, like, bonding? Like, would it be better for me to get him a female one? Would that bond with him better, or is it just random? Because I know Buster bonds with your husband more than like, yeah, my parakeet said hello. It said pretty girl, and it would spin around in circles. Yeah, because I had someone tell me, "Oh, get a female," but I'm honestly a little nervous about getting a female because um if they like lay infertile eggs, I'll have to worry about that. So I don't know. But my other worry is his grandpa wants to give it to him on Christmas Day, and I don't trust his grandpa watching a baby bird, so I might have um my hubby's cousin, they live up the street, like keep him there and I just go over there every day and take care of him. They're known for laying. Okay. So I'm gonna avoid getting a female then because I'm just that's gonna stress me out too much having to worry about setting up a lay box and stuff. He convinced himself he wasn't stealing. My friends would steal all their stuff and then go under their bed and climb. Thank you, Abra. They would climb in the bottom of the bed, like up in the bottom, and hide in like the not the what is it called? Not the mattress, but like box spring. Yeah, that's what I'm worried about because I go through the same thing with my reptiles, like female reptiles. I have to make them lay boxes and I have to, it's stressful. And I just, I already have two females that lay often, so like reptiles. So I just don't want to deal with that. So I think I'm going to go for a male. Hopefully, the baby that he's getting in is male. There's a bunch of stuff missing, and we were all getting in trouble for it. And we did find it underneath the bed. Oh my goodness. But yeah, so I'm gonna go look at I'm gonna go check him out for sure. Uh Probably Friday or maybe tomorrow. I don't know. I'm excited. Hopefully it's a boy. Because then I'm gonna have to rethink it all. If not, there's another place called Todd Marcus's Exotic where they hand rear babies, and I'll go there and check because I think they would have multiple there. But it's in like Delran, New Jersey. So we'll see. But I'll make sure I'll probably have a bunch of questions for you. There are a lot more options for egg lay now. Oh, that's good. Like you can probably buy egg boxes. Okay, sounds good. Okay, where was I? Respondent was informed by the prosecution team that expert dog handler Spence had been excluded, such that of 16 experts initially endorsed by the prosecution, 15 had been excluded and had one their scope of testimony reduced. God, yeah. I mean, if I had to get a female, I could do it. I'd just rather try and get a male so I don't have to deal with it. On March 12th, 2 days after the court hearing regarding the um, prosecution team, a petitioner started by Jules Wolf, respondent sent the prosecution team the petition written by Jules, which claimed the ex-wife of Judge Lama is an advocate of Suzanne Morphew and victims of domestic abuse. Respondent continued texting the other prosecutors, encouraging them to investigate whether Judge Lama had ever abused his ex-wife, Iris Lama. So this is crazy, okay? This true crime podcaster found out that Judge Lama's ex-wife was in support of Suzanne and sharing stuff about her. So she was encouraging the prosecution to look into Judge Lama to see if he ever abused his wife because of the stuff that she posted. That's fair. Oh wow, 16 puppies? That's crazy. Wait, hold on. Respondent decided to interview Iris Lama because we couldn't All right, so this is Linda Stanley's reasoning for interviewing Iris Lama. We couldn't understand Judge Lama's orders that were so egregious against us, and he's normally not like that. And we were discussing what's going on, and those two came together. And I said, let's see if we can get somebody to interview to see if there was something going on or if she suspects that he is trying to get back at her, essentially in an almost passive aggressive way by making this case impossible to prosecute. So we wanted to see if she would say anything to us about any of that, or if these actions by the judge may be almost a passive aggressive move at her. This is crazy. They wanted the judge looked into, saying that he was biased because he may have been a domestic abuser to his wife. In March 2022, respondent and leader called Commander Walker at the Chaffee County Sheriff's Office and asked if he had an investigator to investigate an allegation of prior domestic abuse by Judge Lama. Walker refused, telling respondent she had no good source for the investigation. Respondent persisted and listed her own investigator to interview Judge Lama's ex-wife. On April 7th, so he told her no, and she still did it. Respondent emailed Holbert and others and informed them that investigator Andrew Corey, who worked for Respondent's office, was going to interview Iris Lama regarding Judge Lama. On April 9th, the day after the expert disclosure sanctions order, and 19 days before the scheduled commencement of the Morphy trial, investigator Andrew Corey met with Respondent Holbert and Weiner and wrote in his notes that the respondent wanted to find out if Judge Lama had spoken to Iris about the Morphy case and whether domestic violence had occurred during the relationship. A week later, on April 15th, respondent's investigator Andrew Corey interviewed Iris Lama. Corey reported that Iris Lama told him there was never any domestic abuse in their relationship and that Judge Lama never said anything to her about the Morphew case. On April 19th, respondent moved to dismiss the case at pretrial readiness conference, which was 9 days before the trial was scheduled to begin. Court granted the motion and dismissed the Morphew case without prejudice. So claim one, lawyer shall act with reasonable diligence and promptness. So this is all the things they're going to investigate her. Yeah, right, K-Braze? She's crazy. So the lawyer one is a lawyer shall act with reasonable diligence and promptness in representing the client. As a result, lack of diligence, the prosecution expert disclosures were not timely and were incomplete. Even after the court granted additional time, they failed to diligently or promptly assist with expert disclosures. As a sanction for violating the court's expert disclosure order, 15 out of the 16 experts tendered by the prosecution were stricken, and only one permitted. By such conduct, and in each instance described above, respondent violated Colorado RPC 1.3. Claim 2. Pretrial publicity. Colorado states that a lawyer who is participating in the investigation or litigation of a matter shall not make any extrajudicial statement that the lawyer knows or reasonably should know will be disseminated by means of public communication and will have a substantial likelihood of materially prejudicing an adjudicative proceeding in the matter. I don't know if I'm saying that right. She violated these on several occasions. On May 5th, when she told the media Barry Morphew was taken into custody, when asked questions, he said he wanted a lawyer and all questioning ended. In late August and early September, when respondent appeared on YouTube channel Profiling Evil to discuss the Morphew case and also made written extrajudicial statements in the public comment section after the podcast ended. On September 14th, when she exchanged messenger messages with Jules in response to her question about whether Morphew might flee. In June 2021, when respondent texted King in response to Barry Morphew video, "We got him, no worries." Claim 3, prosecutor's extrajudicial comments, states the prosecutor in a criminal case shall refrain from making extrajudicial comments that have substantial likelihood of heightening public condemnation of the accused. On May 5th, when she told the media Barry Morphew was taken into custody, pretty much the same thing they just said. Claim 4, responsibilities of a supervisory lawyer. Provide a partner in a law firm and a lawyer who individually or together with other lawyers possess comparable managerial authority in a law firm shall make reasonable efforts to ensure the firm has in effect measures giving reasonable assurance that all lawyers in the firm conform to rules of professional conduct. A lawyer having direct supervisory authority over another lawyer shall make reasonable efforts to ensure other lawyers conform. She violated this rule because she failed to make reasonable efforts to ensure the district attorney's office had effective measures and reasonable assurance that all prosecutors in her office conformed to the rules. She failed to make reasonable efforts to ensure that subordinate prosecutors were adequately trained regarding discovery and timely disclosures, including expert disclosures, and failed to make reasonable efforts to implement adequate office procedures to facilitate compliance with P16 and related orders. Respondent failed to make reasonable efforts to implement adequate measures to ensure administrators and prosecutors could consistently comply with the rules. She failed to make reasonable efforts to ensure more few prosecutors would comply with the rules. Even after respondent was on notice, her prosecution team had been sanctioned for several discovery violations. She failed to verify that the designated experts had been interviewed as to the scope of their opinion prior to being disclosed. Let me see. All right. Claim 5, attempt to violate the rules of professional conduct and conduct prejudicial to the administrative justice. It prohibits a lawyer from engaging in conduct that is prejudicial to the administration of justice. Respondent, in her role as an elected district attorney, instructed her chief investigator, Andrew Corey, to interview the ex-wife of Judge Lama. Respondent did so in an effort to uncover information that would be cause for his recusal or disqualification and continuing to preside over the Morphew case. Respondent took this approach despite having no credible source for suspecting that Judge Lama had physically abused his ex-wife or other conduct to justify a criminal investigation, which is crazy because that's like basically saying like I'm going to give you a search warrant and I have no reason to do it, you know? They're saying it constituted an abuse of power. That's crazy. Let me see. Her extrajudicial statements become more brazen. On May 22nd, 2023, a child abuse case was initiated against William Henry Jacobs stemming from the death of a 10-month-old child. Approximately a week later, Brooke Crawford, the mother of the child, was charged as a co-defendant. Charges arose from an incident that occurred while child was in Mr. Jacobs' care. Respondent subsequently formally charged Mr. Jacobs with murder in the first degree and 2 counts of felony child abuse. Ms. Crawford was charged with felony child abuse resulting in seriously bodily injury. On August 1st, a television interview aired with respondent and KRDO channel investigative reporter Sean Rice discussing the case. During the television interview, she made the following statements about defendants. Stanley, I think she saw a live-in babysitter. Now she can just really pound out the hours, right? She got a live-in babysitter. Now she doesn't have to worry about anything, right? I just had so many buzzers going off when they said the boyfriend was watching him. When the police investigate the case, the baby died at Children's Hospital. That's when DA Stanley's office upgraded Jacobs' child abuse charges to first-degree murder. There's no witnesses. There's no nothing. There's a whole lot of things indicative of a prior incident with that baby. The DA says just before the baby was killed, Jacobs had been previously released from a youth correctional facility. I mean, I'm going to be very blunt here. He had zero investment in this child, zero. He's watching that baby so he can get laid. That's it. That's what she said on a freaking news station. I'm sorry to be so blunt, but honest to God, that's what's going on. Wow. Claim 6 states that a lawyer who is participating in the investigation of litigation of a matter shall not make extrajudicial statement that the lawyer knows or reasonably should know will be disseminated by means of public communication will have substantial likelihood of materially. Damn, they got a lot of stuff. I'm not going to read all this. I'm just going to read her claims. Extrajudicial comments. Oh, this is all in this case. So that was about the other case. Well, that's it. That's crazy. Do you guys think that she'll lose her license over that? I'm not really sure, but I think she might actually. But I don't know how serious they take it. Maybe they'll just you know who I watch? Scott Reich when he looks over this stuff because he usually knows kind of like how they work with what they're like how they handle it. What the heck is his channel name? He follows the case pretty good, but I know he said he thinks that they will suspend her license, but I'm not sure if his I think his opinion was before all this came out. So I'm curious what he thinks now. Prime Talk, that's his channel name. I'll have to watch and see what he says. Did you guys see that explosion in Virginia? Look at this shit. Somebody sent this to me. Hold on. So apparently there was this guy. Thank you, Eve. Close enough, sir. So there was this guy who was having like a standoff with police, and I guess they went to his house with a search warrant because he had like a flare gun or something. And he blew up his own house. Look at this shit. Holy moly. Shock no cops got killed there. Look at that. Watch. And I guess a helicopter was already there because um it had been a standoff, and I think he had like a flare gun and was shooting it and just set off. How wild is that? That was wild. That was crazy. I could not believe what I was seeing. Trying to think of anything else. Oh, Lori, and did you guys hear about Lori Vallow? She is she was extradited to Arizona because they are going to try her for Charles Vallow's murder. Charles. That is just awesome. I'm so happy they're gonna try her for Charles' murder, and I absolutely do believe I'm curious about the evidence that's gonna come out about that. Like, I really wanna know if they have evidence of her and Alex, right? Is that her? Alex? Um, having conversations about killing him. Like, I wonder if they have anything like that. I believe second, I'm gonna tell you what. They Lori Vallow's appointed public defender is Keith Terry, who has been with the county for 9 years, and her arraignment is scheduled for 12/7, and her trial is scheduled for 4/4/24. So, oh, that's a good question. I don't know. I wonder if they're charging her for Brandon Bordeaux too. Um, I just received a statement from Brandon Bordeaux, who is a victim in the case. He was shot at while arriving. He says, "Today, I am hopeful for a process that can bring about a small portion of closure to many people who are affected by the actions of a few. It's taken several years and so much work by many people. In life, things rarely go as planned, and often we are quick to criticize and slow to gratitude. Of course, I wish many things happened differently, but today I choose gratitude towards those who are helping to create accountability and hope that this process leads to healing and closure." I imagine that he's gonna be just a witness though. But April, we got April. So I heard there's something. I just read a little bit, but I didn't really. Oh, let me look if there's a death penalty there. Arizona. Uh, yes, they do. They do have the death penalty in Arizona. So I saw that there was some kind of thing with one of some kind of issue with one of the ladies in the Murdaugh financial case, but I didn't get to read it yet. So if you know that, fill me in. um, but the other thing that I wanted to tell, I don't know if you guys were here the other night, but remember that case I was talking about, Jennifer Brown, the one that's like close to me, and I had my hubby go to that warehouse and take pictures of where she was buried. Jury selection starts tomorrow, um, in that case. So I am excited about that because the trial is literally starting and it's on track. So probably next week we'll start talking about that. I'm going to keep up with it, but basically I'll read a little summary. Blair Watts is scheduled to go on trial in December in Montgomery County on first-degree murder and related charges in the killing of Jennifer Brown, a Limerick mother who was reported missing on January 4th. It is, oh, the jury selection began yesterday. Sorry. So I guess it'll be starting. Let me look on Twitter and see what they said about it. See if they've put any updates. Yeah. So we'll keep on trying. I don't think they. I don't know if it's. I doubt that it's publicly being televised. Um. So I'm gonna see if I can find. Who would I follow? I gotta follow somebody who's covering it. I think he's been in jail, Linda. Yeah, because he's walking in jail clothes. Tempers flared at the preliminary hearing for the would-be restaurant owner accused of killing his business partner. He is ordered to stand trial on first-degree murder. As he was led from the hearing, Blair Watts was asked who killed Brown. I wish I knew, he replied. Watts' lawyer, Christopher Mandriacchia, called the hearing rubber stamp bullcrap. By the way, yeah, it's been about a year. Yeah. His lawyer is on TikTok and does all these, like, cheesy TikTok videos. I can't with Blair Watts's lawyer. You might be able to just search Blair Watts on TikTok and find this guy, but he's, like he's laughable. So his lawyer called the hearing a rubber stamp bullcrap, saying the prosecution's evidence doesn't add up. Why are they hiding exculpatory evidence? Why was that not in the affidavit of probable cause? You heard that allegedly Jennifer Brown is alive at 5 p.m. They're saying she's dead. That counters all their evidence today. I gotta look and see, like, get a recap of that. Maybe that I'll look into all the stuff that happened at the prelim if I can find info on it because it's not that like it's not super popular because it's like a small town case that I don't know if I can find like I don't know how easy it will be to find this stuff, but I know a couple people local who know the family and stuff, so I can probably message them and get some information. Karen Reed case? I haven't really heard anything new. I just know that like Turtle Boy got arrested and it's a whole mess. So I haven't really been following it because I just want to know the facts of the case. I don't like to get in all the drama. Um, I'll see if there's anything new about that, but they arrested Turtle Boy for witness intimidation because he was like showing up at their houses and stuff. Canton votes to audit police department amid Karen Reed investigation. Residents in Canton have voted to launch an independent investigation into the town's police department. Wow. I guess they had like a town meeting where they voted on that. That's pretty crazy. That was I'm curious to see how that will turn out, like auditing them. Um Let me read what they said. All right, so here's a little summary about Jennifer Brown. She was reported missing on January 4th when she didn't get her son off the school bus. Her body was found on January 18th, partially buried near a warehouse in Royersford, not far from where she had lived. Watts was arrested on February 9th. She had paid Watts tens of thousands of dollars for a 25% stake in a restaurant expected to open in early 2023. But prosecutors said that that restaurant was nowhere close to opening and he had lost the lease on the building. Watts was defrauding Brown the entire time he knew her, McCann said, even telling police the day she was reported missing that their restaurant was going to open in the coming weeks. And that's just simply not true. And he knew it wasn't true because on December 28th, they told him, the owners of that property, you're not going to open a business on our property. Prosecutors also allege Watts transferred $17,000 from Brown's accounts after she was dead. How you build a murder case on this type of circumstantial evidence, which is very, very weak, is beyond me. And I've been doing this for a long time, said Mandriakia's father, Charles, who is also a lawyer and assisting in the case. So I guess the lawyer's dad is also helping. I think they have plenty of evidence about, against that guy. Oh, wow. They have a very, what is this? They have a very, like, nicely laid out, article here. I'll share it so you guys can see it. But the trials literally like should be starting this week. I'm not going to play the video, but an arrest has been made. So that's her. Blair Watts. All right, she was found in a shallow grave earlier this year. Blair Watts, Brown's former business partner, has been charged with murder and related offenses in Montgomery County after he appeared in Chester County Court Thursday morning on an unrelated matter. So basically, he was at her house. They believe he like killed her and then used her to like her fingerprint or her face to open her phone. And then he transferred $17,000 through Cash App and I think like Zelle or something between the two apps. He transferred all that money to his phone. After hearing the charges in the Chester County case, a harassment charge involving neighbors from last year, Watts went into the hallway where police and detectives were waiting. So he had a harassment charge involving neighbors, and they waited for him at that. He had to go show up in court for that, and they waited for him and arrested him. An autopsy found that Brown's cause of death was homicide by unspecified means. However, he said that the coroner's office had found that 3 of Brown's ribs were broken before she died, and her death was likely caused by compression asphyxiation. Brown had been missing for more than 2 weeks before her body was found in a wooded area behind an industrial facility along the 200 block of North Fish Street. It wasn't in the wooded area. It was like behind the steps, under the steps. She was buried. And he had thrown some of these like pallets over her and somebody thought it was like strange looking and went and found her by accident. And I had a hubby actually take pictures of it. Like the area. He didn't like walk all the way up, but he took it from like a little bit of a distance in the parking lot right nearby. Steele said that police now believe Brown was murdered in her home the last day she was seen alive, and he claimed Watts waited until the next day to report her missing to police. He tried to cover his tracks and get rid of her body before she was reported missing. District Attorney said that police now believe that Brown was murdered in her home Then her body was moved using two different vehicles at separate times to the shallow grave where it was eventually found. So they also have his like GPS in the area where her body was found, like driving by there near there. As he detailed and they have him on camera too, by the way, like ring cameras. As he detailed the police investigation in the case, Steele said Brown was an investor into Watts Restaurant, Birdie's Kitchen, that planned to open in the new location in Phoenixville, but Watts had no chance of opening the business by the end of January. Steele said there was no signed lease. Watts hadn't paid the owners of the building any money to use the space and had no key to the building. In fact, court documents claim that Watts even threatened to sue the building's owners after a confrontation over money. Yet on January 3rd, Steele said Brown's bank account records show that $17,000 had been transferred from her account to an account for Birdie's Kitchen. Then Steele said on January 4th, a day after police believed Brown was killed, Watts showed up at the building telling owners he had the money they needed. So after she was killed, he had the $17,000 and he shows up. And here's why I think some of this happened. He had an investor who helped, like, gave him money. And I think, like, that guy, the investor, had money, is like a big investor that he's in a lot of stuff. He even had money invested in that company where her body was found. And I think it was supposed to open, and that other investor guy was expecting it to be open. And I think Blair spent that money and he needed to open it. So I think he killed her for the money. Steele also pointed the night of January 3rd, Steele also pointed to issues that investigators had with Watts' assertion that he took her 8-year-old son to his house for a sleepover on the night police believe she was murdered. Watts told NBC 10 that he had taken her son on the evening of January 3rd to sleep over at his house, and he claimed Brown never called that night to speak with him or her son. Brown was scheduled to pick up her son from the bus stop the following afternoon on January 4th, but never showed up. I put Noah on the bus the next day, Watts told NBC. Watts also told NBC 10 he didn't know what happened to Brown between January 3rd and the morning of January 4th. I have nothing to do with anything, Watts said earlier this month. Just because I'm the last person to see her does not mean anything. However, Steele said that if there was a planned sleepover, Watts had provided no clothes for Brown's special needs son, nor had he brought medicine that the boy had to take twice a day. This was highly unusual. She's a doting, I call her helicopter mom. She loves her son. She would never leave her son, Tiffany Barron, Brown's friend said. It seems like I'm the one being poked at, Watts said, and it's frustrating because I'm the first person that was the one calling the police, trying to kick down windows, trying to find my friend and make sure her son is covered. Brown's vehicle was parked outside her home on Stratford Court, less than 2 miles away from where her body was eventually found. Her car keys, wallet, purse, and work cell phone were found inside the vehicle. Her personal cell phone has not been found and has not been used since the morning of January 4th. Watts is in police custody in Montgomery County, being held without bail. So that's kind of like the ins and outs of it. The trial is this week. So when I get off of here, I'm gonna look and see if I can find anyone that's going to court. I know I messaged with some people. I'm gonna look in the groups and see if I can find some kind of connection to court so we can get all the updates, and then I can update you guys. Because I definitely want to follow this, and I don't think I'll be able to go any of the court dates, but if I'm able to, I absolutely will. Because I work during the day, but maybe I can figure out one day where I can go. I can send hubby or something. All right, well, I'm gonna end it, guys. Have a good night, everyone. I will be back later this week, hopefully after I find out information about this case. And we will follow this. And oh, there was another case that I wanted to talk about too, and I forgot about it. This kid like stabbed his mom, and TMZ just put out pictures of like, "Hi, Nanya, thank you." Um, he just put out pictures from like the camera of the kid, so that seems like a pretty interesting case. But anyways, have a good night, everyone. Thank you, everyone, for all of the birthday wishes. I appreciate you all, and I will be back later this week to talk about that case and probably the other one that I just said. And I'll see y'all later. Bye. Thank you. Oh, and I'll keep you guys updated about the bird too. Thanks, Linda.